Hello YouTube friends, welcome to my channel. I'm Beth, the Red Cross Stitcher. Today is Wednesday, April 17th, 2025. If you like the content I provide, would you please subscribe to my channel, like and share and comment on my video and do all the things we do here on YouTube? I would appreciate that so very much. So pull up a chair here in my studio and let's get started. For those of you that are new, my channel is primarily about cross stitch, but I do have quilting, some garment sewing some days. I have any type of sewing project could be here, crochet, knitting, any of the crafts I do, you'll see here on my channel. But today it's mostly about cross stitch and quilting. So let's get started. I have one fully finished and one new start and finish and a few WIPS, which is what my works in progress are. So let me show you the first one. I don't have the chart. I've already promised this to somebody else and I don't have it in here with me, but it is Leaves of Autumn by Primrose Cottage. And here it is finished. I finished it in a frame from Hobby Lobby, and I'll show you the back of that. This was a home decor. It had like an oil type painting in it. So I just finished it in this. I think it's perfect for it. So I love it. Now this was stitched, if I'm not mistaken, on 32 or 36 count mushroom. I used one thread over two, so it might have been 36. I'm almost positive this was mushroom. It could have been platinum, but I think it is mushroom. Lugana. I'm almost positive it's Lugana. Yeah, looks like an even weave. I converted mine to the Flosstube DMC and some overdyed. The chart was charted with color and cotton, and I only have about 2 skeins of color and cotton. And so I did pretty much a like for like color. I picked what I thought were very similar to what it was showing and fall colors. So I am very pleased to have this one finished. But I love that little frame. So of course, I probably got it half off. So it's only like, what, $8 maybe. So that was a good little finish. So I have that. My next one is a new start and a finish, not a fully finish. And this was from my Nashville purchases. I did the Nativity Frill by Heart and Hand. I had bought my Nashville pieces from Barefoot. I had bought this, the Nativity Tiny Town, and Brenda Gervais with I Needle and Thread, Liberty, and I had them kitted. So they asked me what I wanted, what I preferred to stitch on, and I prefer 36 or 40 count. 40 count is probably, you know, I don't know if I've stitched on anything higher than 40 count, other than I am doing the Lord's Prayer on 28 count, but I'm doing 1/1, so that's 56 count, I guess. So that would be the highest I've done. But after I stitched it, I'll show it to you. When they ask again, I said kit it. I like 36 or 40. Didn't dawn on me about checking to see what this was stitched on. So they kitted this and the Nativity Tiny Town with Picture This plus 36 count sand. So I started stitching it, and then I watched Brenda and Laura the cereal starter. And Brenda, I don't know if it was their last video or the time before. I'm almost positive she got the Nativity Tiny Town. And she was going to stitch it on a lower count number, which makes it larger, fabric. And it didn't dawn on me. So when I looked, this one is called for 32 count Boston. Okay, I stitched mine again on 36 count sand. And I may be restitching it, y'all. I don't know. Let me get this out of it so I can fold it, so you can see it better. I used all the called for floss, but it's tiny. It's already tiny anyway. Let me show you on the back. It shows you a little better on how that is finished. So it finishes at 2.5 on 32 count, 2.5 by just a smidge under 2 inches. So of course mine is smaller than that. So that's real tiny. So Brenda said she's stitching hers on 32 count. Now I have enough of this to do the Nativity Tiny Town. And I'll show you that. I know you will have seen this probably a million times by heart and hand. And I am going to do mine in the drum. So I have already stitched Patriotic Tiny Town and Big Hearted Tiny Town. Big Hearted Tiny Town I did stitch on, I think it was 32 count, might have even been 28. And loved the size. Didn't think about it. And you would have thought again, how many times do I have to repeat a mistake before I stop and think? It's more than once. It's probably more than twice now. But on the Patriotic one, I stitched it on 18 count Ada, which is the equivalent of 36 count. And my drum is tiny. It is tiny compared to the Big Hearted one. And here I go again. It didn't dawn on me. It absolutely didn't dawn on me. Even though I know that I was going to do the drum, still never dawned on me to change it. So I'm going to stitch the Big Hearted Tiny Town on at least a 32, maybe even a 28. Depending on the fabric. I know I do not have sand in 32 count. So depending on what I stitch the Tiny Town on, I may end up restitching this. And if I do, I will just turn this into an ornament. But I'll see. I may end up keeping it. Still may end up doing it just like that. And on the gift, looks like a gift. So we'll see. We'll see. I'm not sure, but I really, really like that. And so if you haven't stitched yours yet and you want to turn it into a drum, you may want to think about the size of fabric that you are going to choose. So I have also worked on a few WIPs, which is works in progress. But before I go into my WIPs, let me tell you what I've been doing for the last 3 weeks and a day. I'd intended to film yesterday, but we needed to go to Costco because my husband did finally retire on Tuesday. And so we're doing a celebration on Saturday for his retirement party. And we needed to go. It was going to be more hectic to do it today or tomorrow. So we ended up doing that. And so I'm a day late in filming. But what I did, I started right after I started the Nativity frill. And I want to say I did that maybe right after we filmed. It's a blur. I can't really remember. And I finished the Leaves in Autumn. But what I've been doing, so if you're new to my channel, I like to kit my charts with the fabric and the floss. I don't put needles in them or scissors, but I do like having the chart, the fabric, and the floss ready to go. So if someone wants to start along, or I just want to pull something new or getting ready to go somewhere, I can just go pull it and be ready to go. So that's what I like to do. Now, I'm probably going to have to rethink my strategy going forward because I am running out of space to put them. So as you know, if you just have the charts, it's a little easier to store charts. You can store them in binders or like little cube things that you can stack them in. And when you have them kitted, a little thicker with your fabric and your floss, so it's harder to store. And I have a closet that is pretty much dedicated to that. And there's other things in there, but there's a big portion of that closet now taken up with these kitted projects. So I have some IKEA, I don't know which one it is. It's not the Billy bookcase, but it's four high, 2 across. So I have 2 of those. And so when I kit them, I try to have them in bags. Some of them are in Ziplocs, but most of them are in bags. And so after they're kitted, I put them in, slide them in, and kind of stand them up. Well, they won't fit in there. They're in now in additional like cubby bins, and it's like a lot now. I sort them by, I have all Christmas and winter together. I have all my samplers together. I have patriotic together, and I have seasonal together. Then I have a category of other. So it's not seasonal and it's not a sampler. It kind of doesn't fit in any other category. I have an other category. And that's how I store them. So what I have been doing probably 2 weeks, I pulled out what charts that I had, that I purchased, or I know I did a big purchase at a, oh gosh, what's the name of that shop? Uptown? No, maybe it's Uptown. Recycle. It is a place where, unfortunately, it's most of the time when people pass away, family donate their charts, their fabric. It's quilting. It's not just cross stitch. It's quilting and cross stitch and painting. It's a bunch of things. And I got quite a few charts from there. And so I pulled all that out, got all my floss ready to kit. So this room was a disaster. I had things spread out and trying to get everything kitted. The way that I store my floss and my fabric, I have I have some big magnetic boxes, the large ones, the really large ones. And I keep, let's see, I have my even weave in that. So I just store all my even weave. I don't have as much even weave. It's not like I've got that's probably my least amount of fabric that I have. But I try to keep it by count, my 32 counts, my 28 counts, 25, or whatever I have. And I store it that way. I know I hear people talk about you shouldn't store things in plastic. Do I have even my quilting fabric is in plastic. If my fat quarter bundle comes already with that shrink wrap on it, I leave it on it. I am not a purist where that is a big concern for me. And if it is for you, my method probably is not the best. But I do store, that's how I store mine. I have some in the big plastic long tubs, and I have my linen in those, and then I have my linen separated, not by color, but by count. So I have all my 40s together, my 36s, and that sort of thing. Then I have one for my Aida fabric. And that's how I store my fabric. My floss, I store my floss on rings. I like to have a full set of DMC, and any of my overdyes I have on rings. My overdyed, the ones that I collect Classic Color Works, Gentle Arts, and Weeks. I store those on rings alphabetically, not by color, but just alphabetically. Then my DMC, my full set of DMC, I store on rings by color. And some have 2 rings. So I might have, 1 to 800 on one ring and anything that's 801 or above on another ring. So that's how I do it. And I sort it on those rings by color, then numerically. And the reason that I do that is if I, just like what I did, kitting things up, if I am looking at a chart and I go on the back and see, it calls for Classic Color Works Rosy Glow. And I go to my Classic Color Works. If I don't have Rosy Glow and I want to do a DMC conversion, I want to be able to just pull the pinks from DMC. I don't want them all in numeric order, and I'm, because then I'm having to go somewhere to even see what the pinks are, then go find the number. So that's why I like it better by color. So I'll just pull down my pink rings, spread it out on my fabric, and see which one I like better. So that's how I store my DMC, by color on rings, with then numerically. So my extra that I pull from are in baggies. So I have those baggies labeled like 0 to 199, and then 200 to 299, so on and so forth. I think for the 3,000, I have anything in the 3,000, then I have 33. Then I have one for, I think my 33 and 36 are together. I have one that's 37s, and then the 38s. Any of my silk, which I don't have a ton of, but whatever silk that I have I store in a baggie as well. So it's easy for me to go pull it. Does it look good on my fabric? I look on my app. I do keep a thread app. So I look on my app and see if I have, let's say it's DMC 761. I look to see if I have an extra, because I don't like to pull the thread that's on my rings, just because that's a full set. I like it to stay intact. So I always have it as a visual reference. I know some people use the cards and the pieces that have like a little piece in it. I want the floss on a floss drop just so I can lay it across, or lay it with the other skeins that I have, just to see if it's a good match. So I'll go to, if I've got it, I go to the, I would go to that 700 bag and pull out the one that I need. So that's how I like to store it. And when I do kitting, it's an all-day process. I typically do not have that many at one time that I have to kit. This was quite a bit. So it took me almost 2 full weeks to get what I've got kitted, and I still don't have them all done, because I think I made 3 or 4 trips to Hobby Lobby to keep getting floss. As I kept going, I would then go, oh, now I need whatever numbers, and then I would have to go and get them. If I am using overdyed, I have to order that, because I don't have a real local needlework shop to me. My closest needlework shop is an hour and a half away. And so it's a little more difficult than just to run and be able to pick it up. So that's why I do a lot of DMC conversion. But I did, when I was kitting something up, I think it was shepherd's bush. I'm almost positive that I read it on the back of a shepherd's bush chart. And the notation said that, and it's true, and I'll show you in my works in progress why it kind of scares me if I don't have multiple skeins of at least the same dye lot that you can physically look at and see to make sure that they're the same. Because you've gotten them before. And the one that I was looking for was Kentucky Bluegrass. You could get it 6 months from now, and it could be slightly darker, it could be slightly lighter than the skein that you may have. So that's why I do a lot of DMC conversion if I can't get everything I need at the time I kit it. So anyway, because it's that far away from me, again, is a lot of the reason why. Because if you just go order it, again, if you've already got a skein and you order another skein and you get it from an overdyed and it's not the same, then you've got to try to order another one to match that if you need more than one. So that's the difficult thing. But anyway, on the back of the chart, it had said, and this chart was probably 10 years old. Could have been older, but it was an old chart. And like I said, it may not have been Shepherd's Bush, but I'm almost positive that was the one I was looking at. And it said, because the dye lots are so different, they give you the conversion to the DMC at the time that was stitched. Because if you look at a conversion now, it may be different. And they talk about that. It talked about how dye lots are so different, and at the time that it is stitched is why they do the conversion then, to tell you that was the best match for it at the time. So it was amazing when you look at it now, some of those are not the same conversion if you go to convert that to DMC. So anyway, food for thought. I just thought that was very interesting. But again, now I'm going to have to figure out a better way to store, either find additional room to store my kits, or I'm just going to have to kit up something I know that I'm getting ready to stitch, because I've got more than probably I will ever be able to stitch already fully kitted. And I noticed some that seems like a waste of money because I am kitting them. And early on when I started, I kitted it with however many it said. If it told you needed 2 skeins, I put 2 skeins. But if it didn't give you, I wasn't looking to see if it had 12 stitches, maybe of a flesh color or something like that. I was kitting them with the full skeins. And so when they're done, and I have done it now, as I finish a project, those extra flosses go right back in to my stash so they can be reused. But for me, it's worth the money to have them kitted because, again, I like just being able to pull it and ready to go. The only thing I have to put in that bag is a needle and a pair of scissors. I don't kit them with needles and scissors, just fabric, chart, and floss. But again, that's how I store and do mine. I am not as concerned about plastic. I know that's obviously not the best method, but I don't typically keep them in plastic, inside plastic, but I do keep 2 of mine are in plastic bins. But again, I do this is a hobby. This is a hobby of mine, this is my, my peaceful time that I can sit and stitch. So I am not as concerned about that. But if you are stitching stuff that you know are more heirloom stitches, I get it. I understand, and why you would be concerned about that. But that's how, just an insight into how I store and how I kit. And then anything that I don't have kitted, I do have sorted by designer, by type. So again, if it's patriotic, I've got any patriotic chart that's not kitted together, and so on and so forth. So I've got a little left to do. So I may need again to figure out how I'm going to do that going forward. But anyway, so here is my works in progress that I have been working on. The first one is Rejoice Evermore by Brenda Gervais with Thy Needle and Thread. This was my birthday start last year. Now, this is one that I ran into. I needed some floss. But I originally started this, it might have even been the end of 2023. I had bought a piece of fabric from a shop. It was serged, came serged, so I didn't measure it. Didn't know you needed to measure it. Quickly learned you do. But it was serged. I knew on two sides I was tight. It was probably within, I think I had maybe 2 inches, if that, maybe 1 3/4 inches on those two sides. So I knew it was tight. Measured, came down, measured where I started. I typically start upper right-hand corner. So I started here, came down to about this first band, worked over some, then I started going over. And as I started going over, I thought, something's not right. This is getting, my margin was getting smaller and smaller and smaller, and quickly realized that that fabric was not cut evenly. It was not the size that it was supposed to be, quite significantly off. I didn't even have enough. If I would have continued, it wouldn't have even had enough to wrap around mat board. It was that much off. So lesson learned. So I restarted it. I had it kitted on 36 count antique lace by Seraphim. So when I went to rekit it, I couldn't find that. I was at a shop. They didn't have that. They didn't even have anything that I really liked in a 36. I ended up going 32 count vanilla cream by Rogue Fabrics, not thinking I would need additional floss because I'm going to do, sometimes I will say I do one thread over one, but this one with the colors, I wanted to do 2 threads. And therefore I needed new additional skeins, especially for the Kentucky Bluegrass, which is the birds, and the alphabet and some of the stems and things is oilcloth. So I quickly started to run out of thread after I finished these 2 birds. So the equivalent DMC is, I think it's 501. Might be 500, but I believe it's 501. It is different. Oilcloth, I did have an additional skein of oilcloth. I did find. And I started running short on the tips of the flowers. Is Classic Color Works Root Beer Float. But the DMC equivalent was close enough. If I take one strand of the Root Beer Float with the one strand of DMC, it was fine. But it kind of halted me a little bit. I could have continued on with the flowers, but I kind of got bummed out because I wanted to finish these birds. So I am not going to do the sawtooth border. I am up there on the top band. I believe there is enough space that I'm going to put my maternal grandmother's name and her birth date there. So I won't do that. And then the alphabet on the bottom, I will do. So I will not do that. But, I mean, I didn't, and y'all, I didn't iron. I don't even have my board up here with me. But that is where I am. So I finished the flowers on the top and on this side, because I told y'all last time I did not want to wait to the end to do that. And I finished, I did the flower pot on top of the house. And what else did I do? The little birds over here. So that's where I am. My intention was to have this one finished. So because I knew I couldn't finish the birds, I ended up just kind of, I did the flowers, worked on those flowers, but I ended up moving on to another project. So I did do that. So that's one. The next one I worked on is Dwelling Place by Teresa Kogut. And again, I think I told you that was 32 count vanilla cream by Rogue Fabric. This I am doing on 36 count Confederate Gray, and I am doing this with the called for colors. So I still have all the stars to fill in, and there is right in the center of that cross needs a fill in. But I continued working here. I put in the other bird, and I finished, let's see, yeah. I finished this bird up here and did that bird and the heart, yeah, the heart there. And then I've been working over here on the flowers and the two birds down on the bottom there. I love, love, love this one. So I'm making some progress. This one now is my oldest WIP. This one I started in Thanksgiving Day 2023. And made by Michelle McGraw. Michelle stitching it with me. Shelly, Antique Needleworker. Della, my friend Della, Kim, trying to think who else is stitching it. Judy, I think, is stitching that too. And Rejoice Evermore, I think I told you, was my birthday start. And my precious friend Di from Be a Blessing Stitcher, she is stitching that with me for my birthday. So very, very happy about that. So I also pulled out Plum Street Samplers Yule Tide Delivery. And I am doing this one on 36 count Vintage Homespun by R&R Reproductions. And I am very close to a finish on this. I don't have a whole lot left. I think I have a tree to do and pretty much the berry basket, and then I'll do all my long stitches after. So I've got a tree right here, and then the berry basket down here to do. Now, what I am not going to do on this is, I don't know if you can see it. Let me take it out. I am not what I call little doodad stitcher. I do not like all the little doodads in that. There's a few, I think, down here. There's a few up here. I just do not want to stitch that. So those will be left off of this. So I am just an evening shy of getting this one done. So this one will be done. And the last thing that I worked on is another Plum Street. American Welcome by Plum Street Samplers. I started this on March 1st with Christy from Okie Stitches, OKIE _ stitches. I am doing mine. I kitted this up when I went to the Barefoot Needle Art Retreat, and I kitted mine up with 40 count Millennial fabric. 40 count Millennial fabric. And the called for DMC and overdyed conversion, because this was kitted or charted with DMC and I think is it Country Cottage? No, Color and Cotton. And I don't even know who sells Color and Cotton in any of the needlework shops that are even remotely close to me. And it's, like I said, it's wrinkled. I did not iron. So I have come all the way over, so that's as wide as it will be. I'm about halfway there, maybe not quite half. But that is where I am. So I converted mine. It already had DMC, or called for some DMC, and the others that were Color and Cotton, I converted to either WIPS or Classic Color Works and Gentle Arts. That's what I converted it to. But I like this one. Again, love patriotic stitching. I could stitch this all day long. Now, what I don't think, I've already put it back. I do not think I am going to stitch the God Bless the USA down there on the bottom. So I have 3 houses left, just bringing this over, and then the words right there. So that is all my, let's see. Yes, that's all my WIPs. I don't think I did start something new, but it was, I didn't even bring it in here. It was a Stacy Nash. I'd started it, had a small tiny little start on it, and ended up having to rip out the part of what I did. So I didn't even bring that. That's all that I've done. I also kept our youngest grandchild. We had him for 6 days. And between 2 weeks of kidding and then having him for 6 days, we took him back on Monday afternoon. So, or early afternoon. And there's just not been a ton of stitching done, as he's 14 months old. So bless all of you who have young children that do that. I am telling you, my heart is full after having him, but that's hard. You don't have a lot of time to do much crafting at all. So those of you who are doing that with children, kudos, man, that you all rock, absolutely rock. But that's all my cross stitch that I have. Anyway, Alan and I had a ball with Jonah. He was precious. And Tay and Eileen had a wedding to attend, a destination wedding, and so they were gone, and we got to keep him and spend time with him, and it was good. I have haul, but it's already been dispersed when I did all my kitting, so I do not have anything haul-wise to show you. I did buy a little bit of fabric, but again, it's already been put away too, or used, and I'll talk about that in just a minute. But I wanted to talk about the quilt along. that I am doing with Sherry McConnell, who is her blog and her YouTube channel is A Quilting Life. I am doing, she does a block of the month every year. She does a block of the month quilt that you can do. So every month, I think it's the first Monday of every month, the block is released. And at the beginning of the year, or probably the end of the year prior, she tells you your fabric requirements and that sort of thing, that she's doing, so you can go ahead and plan for that. And then every month she is releasing the block. And I am doing mine. I know y'all are going to be shocked, y'all who haven't seen it from last month. I'm doing mine in Patriotic. Her quilt this time is going to be a log cabin. So the log cabin part of the block stays the same, those pieces. So you can actually cut all of your block of the month log cabin pieces for all 12 months if you want. The only thing that changes every month is the center block, and that gets released the first Monday of the month. So this is the 4th block. This is April's block. And this is mine. My fabric is Riley Blake. I want to say it's red, white, and true. Not quite positive. But to do it, she gives you the yardage or whatever you need. I am using a jelly roll and a layer cake of the same fabric. But, so for those of you, and the more that I'm doing, if you've not started it and you want to start it, so let me give you some information on it. I am subbing in, well, okay, so the background here is subbed in. This fabric and this fabric is subbed in. So the log cabin strips are 2.5-inch strips. That's why it's easy to get a jelly roll to do it. But depending on your mixture of lights, darks, mediums, you might need additional fabric out of that, beyond the jelly roll. The layer cake, she explains, if you use a layer cake, that is more for using it for the center. So this is the piece that changes every month. It's always the same size. I think it finishes at 6.5. This stays, always stays the same size, but this is what changes. All the strips out here, like I said, you can go ahead and cut those and get those ready to go. I'm finding I need additional lights or a medium to go. So typically you're keeping your lighter fabric on one side and your darker fabrics on the other. So for me, I have pulled from stash that aren't in that line, just pulling things to go in it. And so this is April's. And then I'll show you, let's see. This was March's. And again, this didn't come in the line. That's a Lori Holt. And then that one didn't come in the line. I just find it easier, like I said, if you're going to do it, you may want to pull in some additional fabric that you can cut. Those outer pieces of the log cabin, if you get a width of fabric cut, you can get both pieces. You can scrap it up, but I am using both on each side. So, like for instance, this fabric is the same that's going down. The same thing even for the darks. I'm doing it that way. You could mix it all up. It wouldn't have to match. But if you do, typically a width of fabric is 40 usable. You know, because you have your selvage in there. That typically comes about 45 inches from selvage to selvage. But usable, you've got about 42. And you have enough in one strip with the fabric to get the pieces that you need if you're doing 2 like me. But again, if you've got some stash, you may, and you're going to do it, you may want to pull in some either lights or a medium for the outer. This was February. And these are 12.5 inch. No, they're not. They're 15.5, 16.5. I can't remember the size, but it's going to be a big quilt. This one was January's. Now, I think she gives you the option for maybe an 8.5 inch. So you can make a smaller one. I think that's on there. But that is a quilt along that I am doing. And I encourage you, if you enjoy that, do get involved in something like that. Because you're like 1 block a month. You get all your fabrics together. I keep mine in a container. So when the month comes, I can just pull it down and start working on it. This is part of the haul, and my quilting portion too is this quilt that I made for a little girl named Anna. And I bought the fabric that I needed for this, and I love the little butterflies, but I love this and the little rainbow type tie-dyed-ish looking fabric with her name. And this one is bound and quilted and ready to go. I am ready. I'll take it down so you can see. So I did put the that rainbow fabric on the back, and I used the butterfly as the binding on it. And her little name and the flowers. These are appliqued. Her name and the little flowers are all appliqued. This is a rickrack, and then the leaves and the flowers and her name and her letters of her name are appliqued. So that is my quilt that I've got. And that's all. I don't have any other sewing to show you. I do not know, because I've not done garment sewing in a while, and my bag is not ready. I've got a bag that I'm working on right now. Hopefully I'll have it ready soon. So that one's not ready. But I appreciate y'all spending time with me. I'll quickly say this. I mentioned before, Alan did retire on Tuesday. We are celebrating him on Saturday. 45 years he did with his company, and a retirement well-deserved. So we are going to be doing what we are calling our retirement tour. We are leaving to go camping. We're going to pull our camper. This will be the longest that we have pulled it. We did pull to the Outer Banks. For those of you who don't know, we live in North Carolina. We live in Red Cross, North Carolina. And we did go to the Outer Banks, and that was the furthest we've ever pulled the camper. This time we're doing what we're calling just a little tour. We're going down south, so we're going to head into, let's see, we're going to go to Charleston, South Carolina, and we'll go to Savannah, Georgia. We will hit St. Augustine, Florida. We're going to go to Destin, Florida. We're going to come back up, maybe come through and stay in Alabama, and work our way back up to through Georgia, back to South Carolina, and then ultimately come home. We are probably going to be gone not quite a month. So I'll see. I'm not yet sure if I can film and load a video maybe while we're there. If not, it would be a little bit. So I'm not quite sure. I actually may try to film one more before we leave, which is it's not very long. We'll be gone in less than 2 weeks. So I may be back for a quick update before I go, and then it will be about at least 3 weeks, might be 4 weeks before the next video after that. But you all enjoy your day, and I hope you have a happy Easter. For me, it is very special. I am so thankful to the Lord for what He did for me and what Easter means to me and our family. And I hope you get to spend time with your family and celebrate. And I will see you maybe in about a week and a half. Love you all. Bye.